The game of the week, Central Catholic and Whitmer battle with the track hanging in the balance. Whitmer won the last meeting by 11 on their home floor. Central looking to defend their home court this time around. Both teams have won 4 of their last 5 and 5 of their last 7. The 2 losses for both teams. One in overtime, the other to a pesky Lima senior team. So what's it going to take this time around?
Whitmer beat Central Catholic 56-45 on January 10th. It is the BCSN game of the week. So what do we take from that first meeting between the Panthers and the Irish, and how do we apply that to Friday's rematch?
Well, we just look at the facts of that ball game. Antoine West of Whitmer had 25. He had 20 at the half of that ball game. Pharrell House was also in double digits for Whitmer. And what that game really came down to was Whitmer was more aggressive in terms of paint points. They drove the ball in the paint, whether it was on the dribble or post entry, and they made a living in there and got themselves much easier looks than what Central Catholic had, who I felt, in my opinion, was too jump shot happy in that ball game. Took too many threes, not rhythm threes, but just threes that they took, and it got them out of rhythm. And Whitmer was able to win that ball game. I think the difference with Central from that night and 3 nights later when they played Perrysburg was that when they played Perrysburg, Central made a living in the paint. 13 of their 14 field goals against Perrysburg in the second half were from the paint, and that's when they're at their best. And then when the defense collapses, then you get rhythm threes. You're inside out, drive and kick, make the extra pass, open looks, and that's when they're at their best. So I think for Central that this time around, can you score in the paint consistently? If they can, they have a heck of a shot to win the ball game. If not, then I think Whitmer comes out on top again. Whitmer Central, Whitmer's up 1 game now, and then Central can, is down 1, but can tie at least for a share maybe at the end of the Friday. In my opinion, if everybody is right, like all the teams are on their A game, I truly believe Whitmer and Central are 2 of the best teams in Northwest Ohio. But they both have both of them and a handful of others who I think could win this district. Or the respective districts. We have 2 of them. Yeah, they've shown some chinks in the armor. Yeah. For example, let's talk about Whitmer for a minute. Since the Central win that they had, they find themselves down 20 to Fremont in the first half. They good enough to come back and get a win. Yeah. They go to Findlay, get a 4-point win, but they were 2 for 10 from the foul line in the fourth quarter. Could have made it a lot easier on themselves. They beat St. Francis by 2 at home in a narrow victory. They have a double-digit lead with Detroit Jesuit, great team out of Detroit, obviously. They lose that lead, lose the game in overtime. Now, they come back with 2 very good wins last week. St. John's at home in overtime, like you said, a Defiance team that only had 1 loss up to that point. They got that win. So they're really good when they're right. They can beat anybody. But they've shown some, can they finish games? That's kind of been a hiccup for them. Since they played that Central game the first time. And then for Central, after they got beat by Whitmer pretty handily that first game, they get a big win at Perrysburg. Like, okay, here they go. And then they drop a game to St. Francis at home. And then they, Lima, who a team they beat the first time, they go down to Lima. As we said, they lost down there. So I think, in my opinion, those 2 teams are 2 of the best, along with 4 or 5 others I think can win the district. They've all shown, glimpses in games where they're outstanding, or in stretches of games, 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row where they're outstanding, but then they have a hiccup, or they're just not. Maybe they're on their B game, and that happens with kids, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just how it's hard to who's going to come out of this. Is there a lock to come out of this district, or who's locked to win this league? You don't have that, which makes it fun for us. It's a lot of parity, right? But I think it's interesting to watch Whitmer and Central in the game this week. And then moving forward into the tournament, can they turn it on and hit their stride and really play clean basketball?